First of all, I'm Teresa. Thank you. I grew up as Terry, and all my life I've been known as Terry until the day I graduated, and they said Teresa Lemke, and nobody knew who that was. So, and in the meantime, people call me T, Terry, or Teresa, so don't let that confuse you. I have done genealogy and family history since my daughter was here. And yeah, and my daughter's 40, so that's been, go ahead, stand up, Heather. So she, yeah, being gonna be a mom, I just kind of wanted to know about the history, and I was very grateful to have all my grandparents. I talked to my grandparents, got a lot of stories, got a lot of pictures, and I just became very, very drawn into history. There's so many stories out there that are no longer available. The pictures are not able to identify, and I'm a keeper of all this, and I've been finding, even the other day I found pictures, and the pictures that are up there, I just found that were on the shelf. We just found them yesterday, so. So this part here is going to, oh, and I apologize for the book. I did do Phyllis Stolzoff's book, so if anybody's interested in the Carpy side of the family, the Beyer side, and Phyllis and the area in general, those books are available here now, today, and you can get them on lulu.com. So that's my first published book I've ever done in my life. It was okay. The second one is going to be Beyer Reunion 2025. That's what everything's going to be called here. And that's 300 pages right now. It's all the history, and we're going to talk about that. Oh, cool. We're going to talk about that later. That's going to be the PowerPoint. We're going to go through the whole book randomly. I'm not going to tell you everything, but yeah. Introductions. Linda, can we start with you, honey? Yeah, so I am very, very happy and excited to introduce Linda. She was a Beyer, that's Emil's daughter. And she's very graciously allowed us to do this on her farm that's been in the family since 1866. Okay?
Somebody asked me how big the farm was, and originally, do you know, Carrie? I think it was well over 200 acres.
Yes. Between Lewis and Charles, it was over 200 acres.
And then Dora Beyer, she married a Koenigs, took apart a little piece of it, and Sue's father, Wilhelm, or what was it?
Bill or Kaiser.
Okay, yeah, he started the turkey farm, so it got, a piece got nibbled off that way, and it is presently 139 acres. And there are about 20 acres of apples and about 20 acres of pumpkins, and it's run as this business. It's open 4 months of the year. And this is my daughter Cynthia. Husband Bruce over there worked for public, she still works for public TV in Madison. And where's Derek? Derek. This is my son Derek. He works for Milwaukee Pool in Milwaukee. He lives in Menominee Falls actually. And Doris is his wife, is right next to him. And my two granddaughters, one of them is going to physical therapy school in Bend, Oregon, so she's not here. And my other granddaughter had a year-long rental up, and she's up in the UP right now today. But that's my family.
Wonderful. Go ahead.
Maybe it should be said that out of college I married a
Wonderful. Cynthia, did you want to add anything about your family? Derek, would you like to add anything?
No, not really.
Okay.
Dogs, she loves dogs.
Yeah, and Derek used to do a lot of motorcycle racing. We're going to be talking about motorcycles, in the book also, but anything on that? You're good?
There's some pictures of him up on that board.
Yeah, so, all right, so that's Emil. On Charles's side, we had the 7 girls and the 3 boys, okay? And then on the other spectrum, I invited Louis Beyer. Charles and Louis are brothers, okay? I figured, hey, the majority of them are all in this area, why not invite them? And I'm grateful for Nathan to help me out on that. So all today it's gonna be Charles, Louis, they're brothers, okay? So who else is here? Well, I don't know how to do this. Bruce, would you like them to come up and talk?
It would make more sense.
Okay, so I want somebody from every family to come up, otherwise I'm gonna start picking you out. Jeff, you wanna come up? Yep, well, they can talk, you come up.
We suggested what side, Louis or Charles, and then the child that you're from.
Yeah.
Kind of have a better look.
Yeah, so Nathan, you wanna start?
What do you want me to say?
Introduce yourself, come on up. Introduce yourself, and so Nathan, I've kind of known for a while because he does genealogy too. He's going to, why don't you just introduce your whole clan?
All right.
But if you come up.
They're not all here. Unfortunately, most of my kids are still
That's
making
all right.
their way in.
That's all right.
But,
But I also want to know where you're from and anything special about you. You know, like Derek, he used to do the racing and stuff, and I get into genealogy and history, but go ahead, Nathan.
Well, I'm Nathan Beyer. Uh-oh. I'm a mailman, so dogs don't like me. Well, yeah, we met through genealogy. I don't know how we came across each other, but we came from the 2 different branches, and probably 15 years ago or more. And I don't know how to do this. So I descend from Louis Beyer, or Louis Jr., because their dad went by 3 different names. If you look at him in a genealogy, it's very confusing, but I think he used Louis more often than Johann or Carl. Or used Carl quite a lot too. So we call him Louis Jr. And he farmed. I mean, he would have grown up here, but then he farmed over by Calumetville. And he had 2 sons and a daughter. He had Clara, Dewey, who owned the seed corn company. And then the youngest, my great-grandfather, was Edgar, and he married and had a farm just outside of Chilton. And everyone here would be from Edgar's son, Lyle, his oldest son. I guess everyone just stand up and get an idea of Lyle's family. And so I guess we'll start with my dad. Terry was the oldest of 8 kids and farmed, with Lyle until the farm was sold, and then he went into the post office. And then who's next on the list of, how many of them are here? Like 5? Yeah, Jane's not here, they're on vacation. Yeah, who's next? Pam? All right. So we got Pam and her son Travis are here. Travis, didn't you race motorcycle for a little bit? Racing is kind of in the family too, I guess. Yeah, Dad raced snowmobiles. My brother Reed raced stock car for quite a few years, and I drove too fast all the time. Oh yeah, Chad. Chad is in North Carolina, and he races.
My two granddaughters, Stella and Judith, in Nashville also. And Chad races high performance, cars.
Yeah. So it's got to be a gene in the family that we're kind of daredevils, I guess. Who's next? Peg? Well, Jody, and then Peg, and yeah, Rick, and then Steph, and then Jeff. Aaron is in between. He's not here. I think he had a surgery or something recently. And scores of grandkids and great-grandkids. This is a big family. The strange thing is we almost all live in the area between Appleton and Fond du Lac. Most of us are still here. A few that strayed further away. I don't know.
I want to
There's-
tell a little story about that whole racing gene.
Yeah.
When we were little, our brother
I know where this
Pierre,
goes.
he built this stock car that was like a box of metal
With wheels.
with no wheels on it.
Oh, did it have wheels at one time?
No,
Yeah.
it had a seatbelt, and he would make us put that.
It was the rollover car.
Put on a helmet, a football helmet, and he would put us in there and throw it over the side of the barn hill.
Yeah. The rollover car. He did it to us too.
I never had the guts to tell him no. He was that big brother, but I hated that.
I only hated it because it was full of spiders and he'd stuff us in there and strap us and then roll us down the big stones.
Neighbor boys that ride their bike from Lyle just to go on
Oh, I hated it. Oh, my goodness.
Well,
One of my favorite stories from being on the farm.
yeah. Our side of the family largely remained farmers until the 80s, you know, and so we stuck close. And you know, my grandpa had a large family, and this is like a very small portion of it, really. And oh, the newest Beyer will be here in a minute. I had a grandson born 4 days ago, so I don't know. What's that? Beckham J. Beyer. And he's a little pumpkin. Is there?
Good, just introductions. We're gonna see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're just gonna do introductions and where everybody's from, and then after we eat, we're gonna get deeply into questions and stories and the things that we never knew about or want to know or we heard of. Just, you know, as a group conversation to get everybody going and the wheels turning. And I know last night I had a great conversation with a young gal that we have here, and that kind of opened up my eyes for a few things. And so, all right. So Nathan, we got hold of, are we done with all? Wow. That's good, yeah. So we had Emil. The oldest is Elvira. There's, you know, the 7 girls and the 3 boys. And for all the years that I've done this, I've never been able to get hold of the older generations. I'd like to introduce to you Elvira's granddaughter, Alice, and her family. And she's got 5 children. We have Sean and Georgia here. So Elvira had 2 children, 2 daughters, and the one daughter, Marjorie, died before Elvira did, and are buried out in California. But somehow I just started throwing letters out, and Alice came back to me, and she's got a brother, Jerome, who's gone. He wanted to come, but such a refreshment to be able to connect with that family. Alice comes from Georgia. Her mom's name is Georgia. And then Marjorie. Marjorie had 2 boys, and I was not able to get hold of them. So But we'll get into some of the stories and stuff like that later on. So after Elvira came Ruthie, and we have the Stolzoff family here with us. So Ron, you wanna come up and introduce yourself, or Vanessa, or Bob, Terry, come on up. Introduce the family.
I'm the granddaughter of Ruth Beyer,
I'm the great-granddaughter
Yes.
of Ruth Beyer.
and my dad was Donald, and during the Depression, Ruth moved her children and herself to this very farm where my dad lived from the time he was 11 until he graduated from high school. And Aunt Phyllis, our aunt, who wrote the book out there, also lived here and also graduated from high school from Fond du Lac. And then she and her mother, Ruth, went to California where my dad was. You know, conditions were hard, and my brother Donald is here. He's the oldest one of my dad. And he was born in Chicago. That's where Ruth went to, and she worked as a cook in wealthy people's houses. And that's how she met her husband. And she also took over Saul Stolzoff's first wife died of influenza, and they had 2 small children, Caroline and Robert. And she took those children in and raised them like her own. And to this day, we are in contact with them. Do you have anything to say?
No, I
I'm
was
getting
gonna-
nervous.
No, you're doing awesome.
Anyway, and now I've been married for a long time, and I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren, all because of Ruth, and we live in the Chicago suburbs. What am I doing? Okay, go.
Okay, so Dad, stand up real quick. So this is my father, Don Stolzoff. Very, very common Beyer middle name, I believe. William, Wilhelm, Kaiser, right? That kind of thing. So it's very much a family name from everything that I've looked at. But growing up as a young kid in Atlanta, Georgia, after my parents met and were married in and around the Chicago area, all I heard about was, oh, you know, when we'd go to the farm. We'd go to the farm and we'd visit my grandmother, and I'd play with Emil, and it was on Kaiser's farm, and Donnie and I used to get in a lot of trouble. And so these are all the stories that I've heard since as young as I can remember. So it's such an honor and such a pleasure to be here today to meet my family that I didn't know I had. And I'm so honored to meet all of you, and thank you for that. So to brag about my family, the Stolzoff family, largely grew up in northwestern Illinois, and they would come up here in the summertime. And my grandfather, my Aunt Terry and my dad's father, would take them all over the United States. They've been to pretty much every state in the continuous United States, the 48, and really showed them what it meant to work and to live off the land. They had their own little farm, per se, 2 city plots in Sterling, Illinois, that they farmed to grow their food and their produce. And like so many others, service is important. Our grandfather, like many others, served in World War II. And so my brother and I have had the honor to carry on that tradition of serving in our country, for our country. And I know there's a couple others out here that have too, and I am going to turn it into that. If you have served as part of the family, please stand so we can honor you, please. And this fine gentleman back there, Craig, as well. So I just wanted to say that. And my brother wanted to be here. He cannot be here. He's actually serving right now. He's stationed in Germany. And I will throw this out there. And doom scrolling at night, it gets you somewhere sometimes. But what it gave me was a better perspective of each one of you, or at least where we came from, and to figure out some of the places that we are from are within reach. My brother's stationed there. We want to help if it's possible, if we don't have that information. And some of these places I think are within driving distance of where he lives, so pretty cool. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I look forward to chatting with each of you, and thank you.
All right, and then we go to Maida, who did not have any children. She lived right next door, her and William, her husband. And then we go down to Margaret. Margaret, that's you guys. You want to have a spokesperson? Come on up. Yeah, so we have the 7 girls, like I said. Come on up here, Huck. So just name, where you're from, introduction.
Hello, I'm Hugh Gilgenbach, and I'm the eldest son of Ruth and Hubert Gilgenbach Sr. And my mother Ruth was a daughter of Marguerite. I have one son, and he's presently living in, he and his wife are living in Minnesota. I'm married to my wife, Colleen, over here, and we both reside in Asheville, North Carolina. And I have been blessed with three sisters and brothers, and there's my brother Lee over here in the corner, and he and his wife Chris live about a mile away on Johnsburg Road. And my sister Ann also lives in Asheville, North Carolina, on the other side of town from our residence. And there's my sister Mary over here, and she and her husband Jim live in Phoenix, Arizona. And that's pretty much it.
Do you want to talk about the cheese factory?
Oh, okay. So there's my.
I hear a lot of stories about the cheese factory, and I'll tell one of them later on. But Lee
presently live right next door to the cheese factory, and lived in the cheese factory and the attached house for many years. It's still there, being somebody else bought it. I haven't met those folks yet, actually.
So Margaret.
It would have been Forest Ledge Cheese Factory.
Yeah, there's a little calendar or paper thing out there. It's called Forest Ledge Cheese Factory, and Steve Koenigs and Margaret Beyer owned it down there. So yeah, so within the area it was Turkey Beyer and Apple Beyer, and then we have the cheese factory over there. So Hub's mom, grandpa, and grandma had the cheese factory there. So, and that would have been the Beyer Cheese Factory. Okay? Yeah. All right. We'll get into that a little later.
Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. See, I have to mentally. Oh, Mary. Oh, so now we have. Come on up, hon. So the part of Margaret's family was Bernice and Ruth. And so we talked about Ruth's side, and this is Bernice's side. And I know when we had the last reunion in 2001, Ruthie was here, Ruthie and hubby were here, but I remember that Bernice wasn't able to come because at that time her husband was ailing, if I recall. So come on up, hon. So this would be Bernice's side of the family, and Margaret Beyer.
Yep, and I'm going to make this quick for you all. But I will say I'm so pleased to be here. Because I just ran into my cousins, oh my God, that I hadn't seen, Ruth's kids. That is like a gift. And so I'm happy to just quickly introduce, unfortunately, well, my oldest daughter, okay, so Mary Stefani Tremere, Milwaukee. My oldest daughter, Miranda. Miranda's a writer. We love it. Takes after her father. Bob worked for the city of Milwaukee, but he was a writer. Okay. And then, unfortunately, my other daughter is a lovely Maggie, and she's out with Ruby. Yep, she's out with Ruby, because Ruby's going to do something, you guys, because she has, her mind's always going. She always wants to know stuff. Right now, she was thirsty, okay? So Maggie's off, and you'll see her around. Her husband, Leon, is back there. I have to backtrack for 2 seconds, because Maggie started a business. She's an OT, but she started a business, a jewelry business, Bernice Jewelry. Yeah. Kind of like Mary, Mary may say. Okay, so, and Leon's her husband. He's also an entrepreneur, has Helios Group. And then their other daughter is Scarlett. Scarlett, wave to him. Scarlett's an up and coming, wow, what do you think, Scarlett? Scientist, mathematician maybe. Yeah, I mean, STEM stuff, you know, all that STEM stuff. Or, yeah. And then our wonderful friend of the family is with us today, Linda. Linda, just a quick hi. Yep, thank you. And hopefully we'll have time to meet and talk more. And I can't. Oh, I do have 3 siblings, okay? The oldest, Sheila, couldn't be here. She has health issues. She does well, but being outside would have been really hard for her. So, and then Mark, my brother Mark, is up at a Mini Cooper rally. So he had already bought his Mini Cooper rally stuff before he knew about this. He really would have liked to have been here. And then our other brother, Neil, we lost him about 2 years ago. So anyway, thank you very much, Terry.
All right, that was awesome. Thank you. And then going down the list, I think I got them mixed up, but I know Betty's in there, and Betty and George Spitz never had any children. And then we had Rosie. Sylvester, we just unearthed her baptism outside in the barn. Her baptism was up there, and I was always led to believe that Sylvester meant the eve, and she was born 1898, December 31st, so it was the eve of the first year, but everybody called her Betty. That brings us down to Rosie. I had a connection with Rosie down in Georgia, Alabama area. She and her family owned a restaurant down there called the Lantern Inn for 42 years. Their family called me up one night out of the blue on a Christmas Eve and said, "Hey, cousin." And I was very pleased about that, so we have a little connection. One of the grandchildren happens to be an Elvis impersonator, so I was really intrigued by that. That's in the book, along with the history of the restaurant. Virginia is the only one living out of her children, if I remember. I'm not too, some of this stuff is all mixed up in my brain. But Virginia wasn't able to come up because of her health and stuff like that. So, but they had the 5 kids down there, and then they have grandchildren and all that. So, and then that's the 7 girls, right? Did I miss anybody?
Do you know where in Georgia?
Pardon?
Do you know where in Georgia?
Gainesville. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, they're Gainesville. And then I wanted to mention the other part of the Stolzoff that Ruthie had taken care of was Bob and Caroline, and a lot of their families out in California. They were going to come, and then there was a few things going on out in California, so they were not able to attend. But so then we get to the three boys. So we have, Adam. Adam married up with Florence, and we have, where's Mark? Awesome, you want to come up and introduce your family and guests? So this is Adam's grandson.
I don't need to stand on the platform, I think.
Mark, for the microphone, please.
Anyway, my name is Mark Ophoven, and as Mary said, I can talk loud. My grandfather was Adam, and he had two children. He had a boy and a girl. My mother, Judy, and her brother, Alan. And Alan is married to Gail, and they have had 3 children, and they have some grandchildren now too. None of that family is here. And then I have a brother named Terry, and he is unable to be here as well. And we have some invited guests from New York, Dave and Liz Bailey. They're not family, but they feel like family. I live in, my wife is here as well, Debbie Ophoven, and we live in Ozark, Missouri. I grew up in Fond du Lac with my family and brother, and I married Deb, and we now live in Ozark, Missouri. And what else did I want to say?
What do you do? Anything?
I'm a retired golf professional. I've managed clubs all my life. Anyway, one quick story about Adam. Can I tell a quick story about Adam?
Love it.
You know, I don't know what you know about Adam, but he was quite a character, as probably many of the Beyers were. Anyway, he was kind of considered as Will Rogers of the Midwest. He used to spin rope. He had this hillbilly outfit, and he used to spin rope and jump through the rope and do all kinds of tricks, a storyteller. Anyway, when I was in 2nd grade, I took my grandfather, Adam, to show and tell. And he spun ropes, he juggled butcher knives, and everybody thought I was the coolest kid around. Anyway, it was, I mean, I have such fond memories of coming out here. I grew up on Lake Deneview, and my grandfather, Adam, lived right next door to us, and he was just a tinkerer. He was always in the garage, building, fixing. So when I had trouble with my fishing line, I'd go see Grandpa, and he'd fix it. If my bike broke, the chain came off, whatever, I'd go see Grandpa. He'd always be in the garage, tinkering, so I could always count on him being here. So I have very fond memories of growing up right next to Adam. It was pretty awesome. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I do have a child. Her name is Ashley. She's 28. She's recently, well, 2 years ago she got married, and 2 months ago she gave us our first grandbaby, Wesley David. So proud of her. And
I just realized I didn't introduce my brothers and cousins and all that. So I'll start with my brothers, Derek and Reed. And there's Derek's family, Jenny and Riley and Owen back there. And Reed's family, they're all in the back. Everyone raise your hands. And then we got my Aunt Pam's son Travis right there, and Peg's husband Rick. My Uncle Jeff's son Liam. Are there any more I'm missing, or? Everyone got a little more detailed than I did, so I figured I'd better save my butt. Well, then I got my son Matthias and the little baby, and Jordan, and my daughter Brooke, and granddaughter Charlotte. Raise your hand, Charlotte.
Awesome, and we have the newest Beyer right here. Yeah, 4 days? 4 days. 4 days, right here. So All right, so we have Adam next. We talked about Emil. Was there anything else that you guys want to add about Emil? Derek, you're good? Okay, because we'll be talking with all the stories and stuff later, so. And then the baby of the Charles Beyer side, remember there's Charles Beyer and then we have Louis Beyer, and they were brothers, so the baby of the Charles Beyer side was William Kaiser Turkey Beyer. Mom, you want to come up and introduce? So, okay, you got it. I gotcha.
Get old, your legs give out. I am Sue Beyer, Susie Beyer, or I go by Suzanne, which is my birth name. I don't like being called Susie. I always said when my dad passed away, he always called me Susie, and I kind of wanted to end that at that time. I had my oldest brother, Bill, who passed away. Donnie, he passed away when he was 17. Bill passed away when he was 50. I lost my sister January 14th, and her family is right here. And actually, the oldest, Joey, he came the furthest. He lives in Rio de Janeiro. So that's pretty cool. Right now, I reside in Casa Grande, Arizona. In the winter, I stay there like 7 months. I have a home there. And then I live in my son's fifth wheel in his land up in Sainer, Wisconsin, which is near Minocqua. I moved to Arizona when I was married in 1984. I have a daughter. Everybody knows Teresa. My brother, Jeff, and his daughter, Lisa Ann Marie, in Everett. And they live near Milwaukee, Heartland, Wisconsin. When I went to Arizona, I retired there and took 1 year off, and then I went in and applied for a job at Yellowstone National Park, and I summered there for a long time. I don't do winters, so. My dad was Bill Beyer, Kaiser Beyer. He married Edna Beyer and lived across the road on the turkey ranch. Yeah, and I guess that's about it.
All right, and I want to apologize and neglected to let you know that the bathrooms are through there, okay? And then we have porta potties outside off to the right there. There's water in a white cooler inside the garage up against that wall.
We moved it, the cooler's just out here.
Everything changes throughout the day, okay? So we moved the white cooler and it's out there, but that's water for everybody to grab and take or whatever and stuff like that. I hope most of you saw the pig when they carved it up, so that's all ready. We have mac and cheese for the kids and adults because we're all kids at heart, right? And what else was there? If anybody's gluten-free, I do have gluten-free bread out there too, or buns for whoever. What am I missing? Pictures. So I want to make sure everybody did their name, and you put your name on for the drawing, because I'll give away that book, and I'll get that shipped to you right away. And then the name on the tree. Am I forgetting anything? Does anybody have any questions? We're good? Okay, so we're just, Derek.
Should we start like a list of email addresses and names or something if like people want to contact each other?
We can do that. We can create a list on a piece of paper for contact and stuff. Telephone numbers, emails, that would be great because when we get into the presentation and stuff, I have a lot of photos, folks. I really want to share with you. And I hope it goes both ways, because it's not for me to keep military letters from somebody that's part of your family. I just feel like things like that should go back to the family. I can scan them and keep them on my computer, but it's important. Ed Beyer's, where's Nathan? Oh, Nathan, you saw the Ed Beyer barn that I posted? I'm just blown away, and the only way I could tell that was by the foundation and the barn, by looking at that. And then there's pictures like the one that's up there, Unknown Family. I went through my computer this morning. I know of nobody that's got 2 boys and 4 girls and then the rest underneath in the Beyer side. So I have a feeling it's part of Evelyn's family. I could be wrong, but I only had an hour to work on it. Cynthia, you had a question?
No.
You're good.
Well, actually, I don't know if your daughter Heather was taking pictures of it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if everyone.
Yeah. So I want everybody's photo, not individual, unless you're here by yourself, but I want everybody that has a family here to get a picture. I want you to hunt down Heather. Heather has got the blue and white, and my daughter Heather. Oh, I didn't introduce my family. Craig, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have 2 lovely children. So my oldest is Heather, and her husband Nick. They're from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and yeah. And then my granddaughter Olive Francis and Emil. So, yay! And then I have a son, and my son Craig is way in the back there. He was anxious. They were working on the what are they? The Nescos, because they were malfunctioning. Who's with you? Who's around the corner there? Oh, okay. And my husband happens to be in the shed stirring everything up for us. So, yeah, I'm kind of newlywed. I was married for 18 years, and I was divorced for 23. And then I saw this really hot guy on a motorcycle. Yes, I drive a Harley. I have my own Harley. And one night I saw this hot guy, and I asked my son to help me go on, what is it, Match.com or whatever, back in the day when it was still good. Yeah, and I picked him, and it was interesting because we went on just for coffee, and then a week later I saw this really hot guy on a motorcycle, and he pulled in, and it was the same guy that I picked on Match.com. So, but my wonderful husband will be married 2 years in September. I couldn't be any more grateful than that, and you guys, because this was something that I started back when, and this is my cousin Joy, Jesse, Jamie, and Jenny, and when their mom passed away, they were the ones who said, why don't we have a reunion? And it's been 21 years since our last reunion. And so, but we'll get into more of some of that later on after we eat. We're all going to take a little break. And Vanessa, you have a question?
We do a whole, is the plan to do an entire family portrait?
Yes, at the very end, or maybe after we eat, if everybody's here, we're going to get in the courtyard in front of the house, and we'll find somebody to take a picture of all of us, okay? Yeah, I'm all about, oh yeah, we have a professional photographer here from New York. I just deemed you our photographer. Yeah. Okay, there you go. So, any other questions? Okay, we're just gonna mingle a little bit. We can, I'm pretty sure the food is ready. We got catered in from Eden Meat Market. It was a pig roast. I don't know what it's going to be like. I just tried to keep everything down to a minimum and simple. Linda, where'd Linda go? Do we know, is there apple pie?
I have no idea.
Okay, because Linda mentioned that there was apple pie for us later, but we'll take a break and have apple pie later. Okay, so anybody who's got food in the refrigerator, go ahead and bring that out. And then we're just gonna mingle, do the bathroom, grab water, okay? And then at 1 o'clock or a little after, then we'll come back in here for a presentation, stories, live on YouTube. Woohoo! All right. All right, I'm going to start up, only because I said we're starting. Let's do this. And we've been waiting quite a while, so. So as things went along, I kept getting more and more information. It was really difficult to do the book because for every addition to the book, that meant if the addition was on page 23, I had to readjust 270 pages to make that work. So I gave up on the book, okay? So we're just gonna briefly go through the book. I wanna hear all the stories you guys have when we start going through things, okay? And the other thing too is that the book is gonna be available. Give me a week or so to straighten it all out, add and do the corrections. It's gonna be on lulu.com, and I'll put that on Facebook or send the emails out to make it all work, okay folks? So my apologies for that, but that's the best I could do, so. Understandable, thank you, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for, you know, having this opportunity, and I'm grateful for Linda to lend us her farm. I'm grateful for all the people that came so far away from how many different states. It really means a lot, and I hope, yeah, you wouldn't be here unless you really had the questions and the passion for the family. So, we're good? Uh-oh. Joey, can you help her? Linda, did you want to talk about the farm by any chance, or you got anything that you want to say? You want to come on up? Questions? I think we'll just take a little moment. Craig, you want to scroll down? This is the book itself. Oh, slow down, honey. So, yeah, so, I mean, you can go again. It's just, go again until Linda comes up here. So I just introduce about me and stuff, and just, you know, talking about all that. Go ahead. And more. Okay. Oh. I want you to understand, yeah, there's a mistake already. Come on up, Linda. I want you to understand how I put this book together. I know we have a lot of deaths in the family, and I have not done nothing since 2011. I cannot get over how many young folks we lost, and the rest of our relatives and stuff, and from the weirdest things. There's so many interesting diseases out there and stuff, and I put the obituaries in, but I will not put in the stories. That's not for me to do. We've had a lot of tragedies in our families, and if you really want to know, you can reach out to me, but that's not for me to give to everybody else. So we can talk about it. There's one tragedy I can talk about because they didn't have kids, so I know they're not here, but here's Linda. Linda is, you want to come up, or you good?
We're
good.
Are there any questions that I can answer for you? Things you might be interested in? Yeah.
The schoolhouse, is this the schoolhouse or is that the schoolhouse?
The apple cooler is the schoolhouse. Yeah. And
It's around the corner. Maybe we can get in there and show you guys.
they pushed a refrigerator off to the side. It's blocking the entrance there, but you can still get in if you want to. It is turned on because they start making caramel in May, so that they have enough to get through the fall season. I mean, quite a few tons of it.
So there was an actual schoolhouse on the farm?
No, it was the schoolhouse from what was the name? Horace Greeley. My father, it was a blind bid, and he bid on it, and I don't know what he paid for it, but he took it all apart, and he rebuilt that as the apple cooler. Yeah. And he didn't use all the floor. The floor even used to be, and they had a hardwood floor in this apple cooler, but because of humidity, it eventually rotted. But I have pieces, and I use that for the floor in the farmhouse, in what was my office, the room with the fireplace and the fabric on the wall. Yeah, that was my office.
I do have one question, that somehow I had heard that there might have been a road that went down to the lake where they would water the horses and stuff at one time. I think I heard that from you, Teresa.
Well, that, I don't know, there are two roads just adjacent to the farm property here, and I don't remember how it worked, but when my grandfather sold what is now Winnebago Park, he sold that whole park for $1,500. It was probably a fortune at the time, I hope, so. Yes?
Is that Columbia Park today?
No, Winnebago Park. It's strictly residential. Columbia Park is 2.5 miles down the road. And the road, they had I think a 10-foot easement to the lake and to take the horses down there to water, right? And because nobody ever used it, Winnebago Park claimed it, and how do they, something about a grandfather clause, that they, so we lost that, but I don't water the horses anymore, so. Anything else?
When the farm was first made, how many animals did they first have? So I actually happened to have done a agricultural census, and we can look at that in a little bit. And it will explain how many cows they had, how many chickens, sheep, things like that, and butter and all that. But I'll come to that picture, and we can talk about that then. Nathan?
Where was the original log house located?
I think it was over here, but there's discrepancies on that because when they first came, they had to have a cool house to live in before they built their house. So I could be wrong, but I kind of thought that the log house was their cruel house until they built the middle portion of this house.
No. As far as what I have been told, I have no memory of it, but what I'm told is that the little barn between the two big ones was the first house.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I had heard of this O'Leary barn as well.
I have no recollection of any wooden house or anything here, and nor do I know any stories about it. So.
And this is why we're talking about everything, because everybody's got their stories.
Yeah.
And, this is a good time and opportunity to understand where we got those stories from and how much of it is true and not, so.
Yeah, things get invented and uninvented and whatever.
All right, any other questions for Linda?
When did they start having the turkey farm?
Sue, do you know that one?
The turkey farm, well, they retired in '76 and they were in business for 40 years, right? 1876? No, they retired in 1976. That's when the auction was. So, because I was in 8th grade. So 40 years, that would have been 1930. Yeah, 36, because my grandma got an inheritance from her mom, and that's where they started life. Okay, but then that's when they built the house? I can't remember.
No, they lived in a small chicken coop.
So Grandpa and Grandma lived in a chicken coop.
Yes.
So Grandpa and Grandma lived in a chicken coop for quite a while, and my grandpa built the log cabin, I think in 1931. About. Yeah. Did you want to talk about the turkey farm now quick? No? Okay. But I can honestly say my mom, just like Abraham Lincoln, was born in a log cabin across the street over there. So, was there any other questions for Linda about the farm in general? Otherwise, as we go through, there's going to be more stories, and I want you guys to stop me.
I have a question. somebody asked if Elvira spent the Depression on the farm. Does anybody?
Her daughter, Elvira's daughter.
Oh, Georgia, I misunderstood your statement. Okay. During the Depression. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, because I know Caroline did, because I have pictures of Caroline on tractors working the fields with Emil and stuff. Caroline Stolzon. So.
Yeah, anybody that came here always had to work, that's for sure.
And when I told you about that picture, I thought that was my mom, but you said no, it was the stepdaughter. I don't remember her name. Caroline. Yeah, but I was convinced that was my mom, because the scouts and everything. So that's why she was on that tractor, because of my own connections to things.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, and
I know it's my mother, and I think.
yeah, because some of the pictures are really kind of confusing as to who's who and,
You don't see the face.
yeah.
I just wanted to say that it's really kind of fun. When I married a Belgian man from Brussels. I met him at the university, and I had lots of nieces and nephews from Europe that would come over here for the summer to learn English. And it was just a parade of kids, one after another. And it's absolutely wonderful to see some of those pictures. And my kids learned some French since they were here too, of course. So it was a benefit all the way around. Lots of them. Okay.
Thank you.
Good, Vanessa?
I don't know if you have the answer, but I'm aware of some of the times they made it here to the States. Do we know when they purchased this land and started farming it? Is my first question.
It would be 1866, because we went into the Century Farm and 150th, and whoever wants to say census was pointing out, you know? The 150th, but we're into our 159th right now, because I was told next year, 26, that'd be 160 years.
Do we know who we purchased the land from?
Boyd. There was a couple of old German immigrants that came over with George White that started up the Capones up the road. Yeah, so there was a lot of land that was kind of bought up by some of these bigger guys, and that's what the plat map shows. So, and Boyd was big in Fond du Lac.
We have no idea why they decided to settle in this.
We do not. They came over in 1849, yeah. And I have not been able to find anything on the other side of the ocean. I haven't been able to make any connections, because when they come over, they have to use their real name. That's part of leaving the country, and that's part of coming into the country. A lot of the countries, you had to have the proper paperwork to say, hey, we're out of here, whether it's because of war or famine or whatever's going on. But once they came here, you had to use your real name. But, yeah, with the paperwork and all that. But when you get into the censuses, then when you say Beyer, well, the guy would just write down whatever he wanted. So it's difficult.
And also, it was Johann Carl Lewis. Sometimes you could buy Carl with a K, Charles with a, or Lewis, or
Yeah.
John. And then you'll be looking, it just confused as hell. Like,
Yeah.
and finally you kind of figure it out. Like, God, couldn't you use one name?
So Nathan does a lot of work on the Charles's brothers Lewis side, and you're right. You have a lot of Williams, you have a lot of Lewises, repetitive names, so it's very confusing. What's on line 2 is really confusing, because some people think they have it all, and then all of a sudden you're looking at it, and they have kids that were married or born before they were even married, and I'm like, that's not right. So we have a couple of examples in the book. Go ahead.
So, Al Capone he's got roots here, is what you're saying?
Al Capone? Yeah. Well, the Capone restaurant up here, Al Capone had ties up here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've heard rumors about Betty Betty being, Betty's husband helping with the accounting with that. I know there's a brothel down on Linden Beach that was a big thing. My grandpa did a lot of moonshining. He did not make all his money on the turkey farm. From what my Uncle Jeff said. Yeah, you want to come up? No. Okay. Did you want to sit? Okay. All right. Oops. Listen up.
Farm started here with 500 ducks.
Where did Al Capone come in? Because I know there's a still. The guy who owns the log house right now came across the still that my grandpa had. But my grandpa, and if I remember how this went, there's stories in the newspaper about this. There's a guy, well, his uncle lives in the house now, Dale Jenkins, but Dale's nephew did his report for college on the moonshining in this area, and apparently Adam Beyer had some kind of, he was like the alert guy. He was able to find out from the police officers, hey, we're going out there and we're gonna do a raid tomorrow night. So then he would go and tell everybody, hey, they're doing a raid tomorrow night, so everybody would hide all their stuff. But it was a big thing out in the Holy Land. And let me explain the Holy Land. The Holy Land is everything out here from Fond du Lac to Brothertown, basically. And it's all the Catholic churches, and it's all the, how can I say it? Yeah, it's Marytown, St. Anne, St. Peter, Johnsburg. It's all the Holy Land. That's what they call the Holy Land. My passion is for everything from the ledge down, because we are the Lutherans. Our descendants was Johann Gottlieb, and he was part of the Lutheran Church, and so I'm the historian from the ledge down to the lake. So, yeah, Nathan.
This whole east side of the lake Winnebago was heavy moonshine territory.
Yeah.
Like my mother's grandfather down in Stockbridge was a moonshiner, and he'd sell it at the hotel across from the Greenery in Sherwood.
Okay.
And, Prohibition in Wisconsin was not popular, so like many of the sheriffs, they would be tipped off if the feds were in, and if you pay the sheriff, he would just tip you off. And like my great grandpa Hostetler, they were raided by the feds with machine guns and all, but they were told ahead of time, so they broke the still up. And I don't know if anyone knows Calumet County Park. Yeah. They owned what was the ski hill, and that was all rocks. And they stuffed it in all the nooks and crannies in the ledge. So, and they dumped the moonshine, not the moonshine, but the mash in the pigs. The pigs ate it.
Yeah.
And, they came in with Tommy guns, but they were tipped off so they didn't get caught.
Fun.
Which I often wonder, because my dad's great-grandpa was sheriff in the 20s, so I always wonder if he was on the take.
A lot of moonshining, folks, okay? So we're going to start, and I decided to go back a couple of generations only because, like I said, Nathan and you guys are all so close. Why not invite you? So I went back to Johann Gottlieb Beyer. He is buried up at St. Paul's Cemetery. So when we go up there, and I can show you all that. But he had our Carl Louis Beyer, which is Charles, and then there was Herman Ernst, and there's a whole slew of people on that crew, and there's a whole big story about Herman and his wife, and then Paula married up with the Zaun, Z-A-U-N, and they were from Richfield. So now I'm trying to figure out the connection, because Dorothy and Johann Carl Louis got married in Richfield. I don't know how they got there or what, because they went from there to here. So there's a lot of mystery. So I don't know if anybody's heard anything about them, but yeah. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, we're gonna go through some of this. We kind of talked about some of this. The tragedies we talked about with the obituaries and stuff. And like I said, I need to put the pages. This is our reunion from 2001. And so, go ahead, Craig. Yeah, so the pages are all, and here we got Ruth and hubby Gillenbach. Yeah, go ahead, Craig. Lisa and Jeff, they're here. Go ahead. That's my uncle. These are all my cousins on Bill, Suzanne, Jeff's side. I wonder if I got the wrong page. That's my brother. Because these are all weird. Yeah, so that's David. Yeah, so. Hang on here. Keep clicking.
So David, or excuse me, Michelle, who's in the photo, and Angela both live in Boston.
Oh, look at there. Oh, my gosh.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out why everything was all over the place. All right, so these are just all the people that came. Craig, if you just want to hit the little one at a time. You know, the arrow on the bottom. Yeah. Does it not work? Oh. Yeah, so that's my grandma. And there's Mary. Yeah, she was 90 years old. It was her birthday last time we had a reunion. And Cynthia and Derek with Linda. Go ahead. My brother, who didn't show up, and that was his wife. She passed already. And then my nephews. And then we have Donnie and Phyllis. So, and then we have Judy, who married up. That's Mark. Where's Mark? I don't even see Mark here now. Yeah, so, and then we have Jeff and Sue's sister, Joan, with the kids, and then our family, and then we have Ruth and hubby's family. So this is all 21 years ago. Yeah, there's Mark, and then we got Steve and Ronnie, and Mark, is it? Stolzoff? I forget.
No, that's Steve.
Steve, Dave, and Ron. Yeah, Ronnie. Okay. And then my cousin who passed away on this side, that's Adam's other wife. Go ahead, hon. And then my sister, there we have Ann, and you know, Alfred's gone. And then my family, and then we have Steve and his family. And then just random pictures. I would have never thought in a golf cart, that's my daughter. And what grade were you? 8th grade?
No, 2001.
In high school. And here she married up with the driver of the, yeah. So, and then we, go ahead, Craig. Yeah, so just, you know, everybody sitting around and stuff. But that's 24 years ago. So, all right, and then we just started cooking and eating. Just Linda. So it was fun. We didn't do nothing like this as far as introduction and stuff like that. So, all right, so go down just, yeah. So to clarify things too, when you do the history in this area, we have Calumet Harbor, which is at the harbor, but then there was a post office, which was run by a relative, and that was considered Calumet Harbor Post Office, but Calumet Harbor is really Pipe, or it could be Pipe Village, or it could be Calumet Village. So there's multiple names for these areas, and then you have Calumetville, which is one town north. But just to clarify, the Calumet Harbor, Calumet Village, Calumet, and Pipe Village is all the same. Okay?
So where did Columbia Park, how did that get?
So Suzanne is wondering, where did Columbia Park come in? And I'd like to know the same question. Seriously, I mean, you had Calumet Harbor, which was so touristy back in the late 1800s. They had boats, excursion boats out on the lake that would, you know, from Oshkosh would come over here. They'd have picnics in the harbor, climb up the ledge and all that. And why wasn't it called Calumet Harbor? I have no idea. It's a county park now, so yeah. Good question. So just to clarify that, go ahead, honey. And this is all in the book. It really breaks things down. And then we talk about what was all going on back then. Keep going, hon. There's Capone's down the road, so I do a little history on that. Go ahead. Oh, then we're going to jump into the church, and that will be all in the book. So Johann Gottlieb Lewis's Beyer's name is on the cornerstone of the church, and he was a big part of the building committee. Go ahead, hon. Yeah, so that's up the road on Kiel Road, and it's just 1830s. I don't know, it burnt down a couple of times, but then there's a cemetery just south of there. Go ahead. Oh, question.
So is it a Lutheran church then?
It is. It's a United Church of Christ. Yeah. So the Beyers here were Lutheran when they first came. Yeah. So this is a 100-year marker, and I do. Oops, slow down. Sorry. I do a lot of presentations for history and stuff. So we had a whole big thing for the 175th. So I talk about that and the history. And here's where Lewis's name is for the building committee. So these are all wonderful, valuable papers that I've been able to come across. And part of the cemetery committee, I've been for a number of years. We did extensive work up there trying to straighten out some of the stones. And I'm happy to say that we had, you know, the grandkids doing Dorothy and Carl, the Beyer headstone. Straightening the stones out. A lot of the stones were tipped backwards. Even now, there's a lot of them that were broken, so they're trying to lay them in the ground. I don't know if that's a good plan because now you can't hardly read a lot of them. So, all right, so we're going to start with Johann Gottlieb, and like I said, they came over in 1849. So I just talk about the immigration. Go ahead, hon. Census records, I bring them up. There we have Johann, and so it would have been Charles, that's Catherine, and then we have Louis. Well, wait a minute, hang on here. Oh, this is Bertha. See, I get too many confused. You guys can read it. Yeah, Louis and Dorothy. Dorothy, Louis, Bertha, Carl, Charles. So, and that photo I got from a lady on the Zone side of the family. Again, census records to, here's the agricultural. This is what you were talking about, right here. So back in 1880, Everett, this is what they had. They had 130 acres, and it goes on and it talks about what they had. They had 7 horses, 8 cows, 3 calves, butter, poultry, eggs, sheep, swine. That's what they had in the 1880s. Louis and Dorothy, and they had Catherine, Charles, Louis, which is the other crew here, and then Bertha. And the original farm here. And then I start talking about the Dakota Wars. I have some, how can I say this? I have some articles that I've obtained from family members, which are very historical as far as storytelling. So this came from a guy who wrote in the 1954, I think it was, or 52, about the Sioux Uprising and what they had done to round people up with wagons and guns and You know, the women gathered up all the food and took the kids and let all the animals out of the pastures and things like that. It was quite interesting what happens when fear sets in like that. So I have the whole story about that. Go ahead, hon. So Catherine, never married. I have her obituary. Go ahead. Like I said, I'm just going to wing through these. There we have Charles. So, yeah, and this is a great start because we have, you know, Carl and Carl. The one on your right happens to be Teresa's dad, okay? And in Phyllis's book, she's got this picture too, and she explains that. So I wanted to do a little bit about Teresa because I have a lot on the Carpy side of the family, which is really good. So Craig, if you just want to go slowly through Teresa, it goes back all the way to, yeah, Johann Frederick, so pretty much almost 1700s. So they're all buried in Plymouth. I'm a big part of the Plymouth Historical Society too, and I like sharing, so they have a lot of this. Go ahead, hon. I don't know, does anybody remember Molly Carpy down in Arizona? Yeah, I used to visit her and she gave me a lot of this stuff, which was great. Go ahead, Craig. So this is all Teresa's side of the family. Good. Good. Yeah, sorry to go through all this, but like I said, they're all in Plymouth. And Plymouth is about half an hour from here, 20 minutes. This photo, I wish I could remember who I got it from, but the little girl is Teresa. And this picture is from like 18, I got it written on there. So, go ahead. So I tried to get a lot of articles in here and stuff, and so we got a couple more pictures of Teresa with her sister Minnie. Yeah, Teresa or Lewis. So there's a lot of California things going on here. So this would be, you know, the whole Carpy family. So that would be Charles Byers. Yeah. And then Phyllis, there's a little story in here about the Indians in Sheboygan, Plymouth area. I have a couple of stories like that, but Phyllis had to do the book that was out there. She had, in school, everybody had to do their family tree and all that. I was fortunate enough, brave enough too, that when Phyllis died first and then when Don passed, I was just out there and he had a shoebox of pictures and I thought, you know what? What's going to happen with it? So I'm the type of person that calls, writes, say, hey, there's a shoebox underneath the TV. Please think of me. You know, I'm the family historian. So I got this book from 1939 that's out there, and I made copies if anybody's interested, and it's on lulu.com too, but it talks about the Native Americans, it talks about the Carpy side, the Stolzoff side, pictures with the Stolzoffs in there. It's pretty cool. So now we get back to Charles, and you can see we got all 7 girls, 3 boys. So we're just going to wing through here. What have we got questions on? There's great-grandma, yeah, Teresa, Charles, good, Charles, Teresa with the turkey, the house, and then we talk about the house in here also. So there we have the picture with everybody except for the boys and Betsy, I think. Oh, Rosie. Rosie's the youngest girl. So Rosie's not on here, neither are the boys. So farm picture again. The girls. Farm again. I tried to put as much as I could in here to share with everybody, okay? And then just pictures, random pictures of the farm. So, and Craig, you can just slowly go through this. But it was the apple orchard, okay, and it was Beyer's. I love some of these pictures, by the way. Yeah, aren't they great? The next one too. Now that one I just came across maybe 2 weeks ago, and that's Ruth and Elvira. They were quite young. So, Atlas, pretty cool, huh? So, and then we got the boys. So we got Adam and Bill and Emil, all on the farm. So there's a book from the 1880s that came out. It talks about Charles, so I put that in there. Here's another agricultural thing. So this is Charles. So when Charles owned this is what he had. So it mentions nothing about apple trees, and I don't know why. Oh yeah, it's 30 acres, meadow, pasture, orchards, vineyards. And notice the sheep. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one down. This is how they did some of the censuses. So they had 3 sheep and 3, and sold 3, but only after losing 2 to dogs. So, all right, go ahead, babe. Oh yeah, 1 acre of bearing apple trees, potatoes. And then in 1935, it was 200 acres, and then Charles had all this. So, a lot of birds, horses, and so back then it was Beyer Orchard. I took these photos. Linda's got up in one of the craft barns these signs, which is wonderful. And that's the girls working the farm. So we got Emil there, and Charles. So this is everything with the, and here it says Carol Stolzoff, but you're thinking it's Elvira?
No, Georgia.
Oh, Georgia, okay. So everybody worked. And then I have a couple of ads that I found. Linda, we got 10 pounds for $2.25. Yeah. Isn't that something? Yeah. So it was fun finding these articles in the newspaper. The box is out there. I somehow collected boxes. So then it transitioned over to Little Farmer with Linda into agritourism. So. And then she expanded on all that, which is wonderful. So there's a couple of newspaper articles in there for that. Actually, quite a bit. It was easier to cut and paste. Yeah. Oh, and when she restored the house, so the whole article, if you have questions on that. So, is there any questions about Louis, Charles, any of that? We're good? I know I'm kind of whizzing through here. So we managed to get it registered for 100 years, like I said, with the Wisconsin, and with the 150. So, any questions about Elvira? Oldest, very military, okay? She had Georgia and Marjorie. They're all, not all of them. There's one child buried down in Florida. Yeah, but Elvira was military, so was Vance.
In World War I.
Yeah. So they're all buried out at Rosecrans in California. And we have Alice here with her son, Sean, and Georgia. So, and just a few pictures of them. By the way, I was talking to Sean because I didn't realize how much military we have here. Raise your hand. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what so thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we have, Craig, what was yours? Desert Storm? Iraq? And then we have Vietnam. What else have we got here? Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah, so, and because I didn't have a lot of information on Vance, I was excited to find censuses. They were all over the place, all over the place. When he died, they were down in Florida. What was the story about Elvira, Alice? When she went to the doctor and wanted a glass of water.
And when the nurse returned, she had passed away.
When the nurse returned, she passed away.
And just fell asleep in death.
And they were down in Arizona, and then they transported her body by train to California to Rosecrans.
Yeah.
All right, so, and I got a couple of you know, that's her death stuff. But some of the military things I have in here. Marjorie, she died before, one of the daughters died before the mom did, so. And I was not able to find those two guys at all. I think I found them, I'm not sure. So, a little bit on Marjorie, obituaries. I did my best to find people. There we have a picture of them, correct? Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Now, this is my question. Who are the boys?
Or where?
Is that Richard and?
That's what it says, yeah.
That's what I wrote down on there. I don't know.
Well, was it Robert, his name? Because I always thought it was Ricky and David, like those Nelson boys from the TV show.
Okay.
Is it Robert? The dad was Robert, so I don't know.
I don't know. Okay. So, but I'm assuming that's who they are because I came across her picture a couple of times. And then we have Georgia, which is Alice here, and their whole family. So that's her mom. And they were military too. Yeah, and her dad. There's her dad. Yeah. And then I got this one from Jerome. So, yeah, I kind of met up with Jerome via, internet and all that, so, which was cute. And there's Alice. Yeah, and that one. So then George's family. Oh, Dorothy, yeah, some of their kids died right away.
Yeah, that's popular.
Yeah, so they lost children. And then we got Alice. And I tried to put whatever I got in there, but there's a lot I need to add yet. Yeah, so if I didn't get the information, you're all known as unknowns.
I kind of just gave an outline.
Yeah.
Sorry.
One of our brothers, Joseph.
Okay, so these are all the reasons why I need corrections before I publish the book. So go ahead. We're just going to whiz through the new parts, but yeah. Another son that had passed. Jerome gave me information. So this is Alice's brother, and they're in Hawaii right now. Go ahead, hon. And then we're going to jump to the next person, Ruth. So we got Ruthie Stolzoff, and she married up with Saul. Saul was married before and had Bob and Caroline. So I got quite a bit on Ruthie. There's a picture of Saul. I never saw Saul before until I opened up Phyllis's school book, and she had it in there, and she even writes about him, yeah. So go ahead. He was a taxi driver, and I only put it under Saul because he was married to get the rest of the family in, so, and I love this picture. So I have conflicting stories of the two gals on the bottom. Margaret, not Margaret, right?
Says Caroline.
Or Ruth or Bernice or.
Yeah, that sure looks like.
Hold on.
That looks like mom.
It looks like maybe. Yeah, that's on the left.
Yeah, otherwise I'm just gonna leave it as is.
No, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
The person kneeling on the right is Caroline. The person standing in the dress is not. Caroline is down really.
Caroline is down.
That's Caroline and her husband.
My cousin and Caroline should be the bottom two.
The woman, I have no idea who she is, she doesn't even look like Aunt Mickey, but.
Up top?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know who she is, and I don't know who the one on the left is kneeling, but I do know Caroline is the one on the right.
Way on the right. Okay.
And that's her husband behind her, standing by
Okay.
Grandma Ruth.
All right. I will try to straighten that out. So go ahead, Craig. Yeah, because there was a couple really tough ones that I didn't know how to do. So Phyllis and Caroline. Caroline, I never knew she had a child until just recently. And they're buried together.
He died when he was
3, yeah, that's what mom told me. Yeah. So obituaries, pictures, and her son. So, yes.
How do you want to do the park?
I'll take a whole 5 please,
We can randomly go through. You want to do it now?
How would it be if Cynthia and Doris tested out even here, just subtly while you're talking?
So Mickey Stolzoff, their crew was going to come, and they weren't able to, so we'll just kind of whiz through that. They're all out in California. So Terry, you're the one up here, right?
That's me, I'm not.
Okay. So we have Terry right here. Okay, go ahead, hon.
That's me, that's my grandma, Aunt Grandma Ruth Stolzoff. That's my sister Rana, and my brother Steve, and Uncle Donnie's in the background. And we were forced to go to her house at Christmas, which was the last thing I wanted to do. So that's what I look like now.
Aww. Which is typical with, that age. Yeah. All right, and then I have, this is a whole crew out in California, so that's Tom in the green shirt, and I've been corresponding with him and stuff, so, and then we have Mickey in the middle. She's no longer here, and so.
Let's see. Which one is, I don't know.
Which one are you?
With the sunglasses, that's
The,
Terry.
so there's Kathy,
Yeah, on the left.
Kathy's the short one, right?
Dee, right? Grayson, I think it's.
Oh, the happy gal, I don't know who that is.
2 of them that are Mickey's daughters, from what I remember.
Okay,
I used to be Facebook friends with them.
all right, go ahead, Craig.
Alex with his grandma, that's.
Yep. And you can go past that. They got into a lot of plays and stuff, and they were very theatrical. We can keep going. This is the Hatter family from the Stolzoff. And then more Stolzoffs out there. Patty. That's all Stolzoffs out there.
Yeah, there you go, Jason.
Yeah.
Dee.
Yeah, one of the boys passed. So then we have Terry. Like I said, we're just going to kind of whiz through that part. So for the most part, I hope I got them all correct. There's Tom. I like following him on Facebook. Don's here and Barbara, okay. So we got them. And Vanessa.
Oh, with an A, but it's okay. Yeah.
So military again, which is awesome. Vanessa's been keeping her brother updated with what we're doing here, which is great. So, and we have Dave, yeah. Teresa. So Terry is here. So the numbers in front of them are the generation from Johann, all right? Phyllis, her book, Donnie. So we can just kind of go through that a little bit. And it was fun going down there and visiting them. It really was. Every spring and fall when I went down, pick up Mom, bring her back here, then I always stopped in. Maida, she was, they never had any children. She was married once before to Raymond. I'm not sure what happened to Raymond. He died like around World War I. So I'm thinking, or not World War I. So I have a feeling he died in the war, but I've never been able to confirm. I don't like putting things in until I confirm stuff, okay? So, and then married up with Jesse Beyer, B-I-E-R, B-E-I-E-R, I forget. There's a picture of Jesse in there. Jesse grew up in Georgetown, Ohio, which I did not know until Linda had a bunch. This is Uncle Jess. They used to come up in the Cadillac and have candy all the time for the kids. And I stopped here at the farm. Look I see a lot of heads bobbing. And at the turkey farm, but he used to write a lot of poems. And Linda had some of these poems, and I scanned them all. There's Uncle Jess, B-I-E-R. Right there. So he grew up in Ulysses S. Grant's house. Yeah, and I didn't know that, and I kept thinking Georgetown, and then he started talking about Ulysses, and I started doing a little research, and I found a newspaper article, because when Jess passed away, everything went to his sister, and his sister got the connection to make it a historical site. So our uncle, great uncle, or whatever, grew up in Ulysses S. Grant's home, childhood home.
Why is his last name spelled like that?
Grant or Beyer? Because that's the way his last name was. Beyer is spelled many different ways. Jesse Beyer is not part of the family. He married up Maida Beyer. So Maida Beyer is B-E-Y-E-R, and Jesse Beyer married up with Maida. Yeah, so it can be really confusing. Yeah, so here it explains everything about the Grant home, which I think is awesome. It's something on my bucket list that I want to go there in the Historical Society. So go ahead. They never had any kids. Oh, Jesse owned a light company in Chicago. That's what the catalog is, and of course I bought it and now I can't find it, but there's another book out on the table out there. So he owned the lampshade parts and stuff like that, and he took that along with him down to Florida during the winter months and sold down there. Dorothy lived across the way in a house. They actually had to tear it down. They built a little house just next door here. She and Bill, and I hear a lot of fun stories about Bill. He was kind of creepy. My mom says he was very creepy, and Jeff is shaking his head. But it so happened that they owned land, or they owned houses in Fond du Lac, and he used to go into Fond du Lac all the time. And then Margaret died, and for whatever reason, Grandpa and Donnie Moratz, Bill Beyer, Kaiser, and Donnie Moratz was wondering, well, how come Bill isn't gone or whatever? And then through the newspapers, and I found the probate records, and everything was so close, but he committed suicide, and they found him the day that Margaret had her funeral. That's what happened there, yeah. So, yeah. There's a couple of stories, and once you start putting things together, it all makes sense. So, but yeah, he was weird. Can I say weird? I don't know. He was different. They had no children, so I can say that. Yeah, so now we're into Margaret and Steve Koenig's. They own the cheese factory down the road. Oh, wait, no. This is still Dora. She's down here. Yeah, they lived in Chicago, and she worked for Ricketts. So there was a lot of Chicago connections. So she's down in this corner. I tried doing a little research on Ricketts, and it's not much. Oh yeah, this is a story about where everybody lives and how I pieced it all together. We're gonna really go ahead. There's Steve and Margaret with the cheese. Where's that, 3 o'clock? There's Ruthie. This is Margaret's 2 girls. So, yeah, Steve and Margaret again. So I have to tell you a funny story about the Rosie's kids down in Georgia, because when I was talking to her, she was just saying, oh yeah, my mom used to come up all the time, and then they would get cheese from the cheese factory, and they'd go down to the road, and it stunk so bad they threw it all out the window. Yeah, so I don't know what kind of cheese. I thought he just did cheddar, all different kinds.
I ate plenty of it.
But it was common to go to Steve and Margaret's to get cheese all the time, I'm assuming. Yeah, you guys used to go.
All the bad things. I grew up on that stuff.
So Jeff says he got all the bad cheese. So we got Ruthie and hubby. So the whole family members in here. Mary, she's out in North Carolina. Lee is right here, back here. Well, there's Chris. So, and then we have Mary. Yeah, right there. And then the rest of the family. Keep going, huh, babe? There's Ruthie's sister, Bernice, their whole family. Go ahead. That's a beautiful picture. Beautiful. All right. So hopefully I have the majority of your family all in here. There's her brother, Neil, Margaret. Oh, that's, there you go. Mary's husband passed. Okay, this is Bitsy or Betty. They never marry, or they never had any kids either. I had a lot of corresponding about money that they had inherited, and that would have been from Betty. So that's Betty and George, and then they own the accounting business down in Chicago, or Kenosha. So, and they're buried up here in Fond du Lac, though. After Betty came Rosie, and this is where Elvis comes in. So we're just gonna kind of run through this a little bit, but they all moved down to Alabama. Jeff, do you know why they moved down to Alabama? No, so we have no reasoning why these guys moved down to Alabama. So, but we're gonna kind of go through Rosie because her family's all down there. This is where Elvis comes in. There's a whole slew of them. So with the boys really got into motorcycles, guys. I don't know if you caught some of the pictures out there. I have some of the pictures in here for the motorcycles and how it kind of trickled onto some of us because, oh, there's Elvis, yeah. And it talks all about the lantern. They owned it for 42 years, so that's part of the family. So, and I think Elvis is there. His name is Mike Jones, so, and he did it for many years. Where's our Elvis fan? I think they left too. We're gonna get down to the motorcycles. So I had a dear friend of mine who's a historian, and he gave me, and it's up here too, he gave me that newspaper or advertisement. They used to do racing and everything right here on the farm. So, yep, right on the Charles Beyer farm, it says right there. So, for whatever reason, Charles Beyer's family did all the motorcycle, and I gotta tell you, Charles' brother Louis got into the pedal bicycle, which is really fascinating. So, back in the corner, there's a building, that's Margaret and Steve Koenig's cheese factory, and that's all right down the road here. So, yeah, a lot of great pictures of motorcycles. So I kind of threw everybody in there. You know, I got Caroline up there. That's my brother down here with my daughter Heather. We have the girls over there. There's Emil on ice. They used to do a lot of ice. There's Emil and Evelyn again. That's me and my son. There's my brother. No, that's Miles. That's my nephew. There's Adam and Florence. On the bottom we have Maida, and I'd have to look at what that one is. A lot of motorcycles. Mike Jones, our Elvis impersonator, he's here with, I don't know who the girl is, and then we have Grandma. And look at this. This is Adam. Does anybody know what that is? It's a Henderson. Yeah, so, isn't it cool? Yeah. Well, there we have Adam and Florence again. This is Derek. Derek did a lot of racing, so I got two nice pictures of him. The one on the bottom in black and white is my mom's brother Bill over at the turkey farm, and his daughter Diane. There's my brother again with his wife. What have we got? They used to do fun things at the fairgrounds. Yeah, that's my grandpa on top, and then I think it's, no, Adam is on top, and then I don't know, it must be Emil driving and my grandpa in the back.
Strong guy.
Abel's on top.
Emil's on top. So then there was a motorcycle club around here. Adam was a photographer, so he took this picture, but you can tell where my grandpa is. He's the one with the beer. He was a crazy guy, I'll tell you. Yeah, so Emil and Evelyn are in there. And I have a little story in there about motorcycles with my grandma. Adam, all we have left is Alan. And Alan, and they weren't able to come. So we have Alan, we have Linda from Emil, and then we have my mom, Suzanne, and Jeff. Those are the last four surviving from this generation, okay, from the 10 kids. So we'll whiz through this. Adam. Go ahead. Oh, kind of blew past. There's Judy. Yeah, I think they had it out. So you can go. Oh, and Alan's son Brett is a motorcycle. And we have Emil. And I tried really hard to find, Derek, an article on you I'm still looking for. So we got Evelyn, Emil and Evelyn, and here we have Linda. So they all lived at the farm here, and they're the ones who started, you know, everything up, so, or kept things going. And then we have Linda. That picture on the right, I absolutely love of her. And then it goes into Cynthia and her family, and Derek and Doris. And then I think last is my grandpa of the 10, okay? So my grandpa had the turkey farm across the way. We touched on it a little bit here and stuff. So they actually took off on their motorcycle and got married up in Shawano. So a little bit of everything.
We have twins in the family?
Pardon?
We have twins in the family?
Yeah, twins. So that's my mom in the middle, and then my grandpa, her dad, is here, and then way on the right is Bill with Diane. Is that right? What have I got there?
Donnie's the one leaning.
Oh, Donnie's on the bottom, yeah, but there's twins. So we have Jeff and Joni, and Joni has passed already, and Jeff is here. So, yeah, not that many twins in the family. So these are the boxes that were out there. Turkeys. I'm doing a presentation at the Malone Museum about the turkey farm the first Tuesday of November. So if anybody's interested. Fun, huh? Some advertising. My mom can tell you stories. I don't know. Jeff did a lot of work out in the field, huh? Yeah, Mom, when she got her license, she used to deliver. They used to deliver down to Allen Bradley all the time and stuff, and down Milwaukee all the way up north. And then they sold all their stuff, and that was it. So my Uncle Billy, none of them are here today, but he passed. Look at the pigs. I know. Yeah, but both of those are gone already. And this is Linda and Bill and my mom going to school. Did you guys all catch the history outside on the windows coming in? Yeah. And this all started with 2 people, folks. Yeah, isn't it something? We're all sitting here like this. So that's all my Uncle Billy's family. So they had the 3 girls and the 1 boy. And then we jump into my family. This is my mom. She did a lot of barrel racing back in the day when I was first born and stuff. And so I have a sister and a brother. My brother wasn't able to come. And my dad's no longer around. Go ahead. And that'd be me. So that's my first husband, now my love of my life right now. Heather and her family, so I have 2 grandchildren, go ahead. And then my brother, he lost his first wife, you know, everybody's kind of gone through some of this, so. And then my brother with his other wife. Donnie passed away in a motorcycle accident. We have the twins, Jeff, and he's here, which is awesome, and we recently lost his wife. And then they have 1 daughter, Lisa. She was here, or she is here with the kids. And then it goes into Joan, and Joan passed away back in January. So like I said, there's only 4 left of this whole generation on this side. So we get into Lewis. So this is Charles Beyer's brother. And some of the coolest pictures we have there with, go ahead, scroll down. I'm sorry.
It says something
Oh,
about
Germany or? Yeah, they had Clara, Dewey, and Edgar. Okay, so Clara, yeah, we can get into that. Dewey Beyer had the hybrid corn, and that's where the bag came from out there. I wasn't able to get any of them. Lewis was married to Jessie.
Is the Koch family of the sewing machine?
Yes. I was just asked if the family was part of the sewing machine, and one of the other guys at our church said that there is a connection. I've never been able to confirm it. But they were pretty prominent because whoever wants to go up there, they have a substantial headstone also. So I love this. So with Charles Beyer, they got into the motorcycles, and I got to tell you, Lewis got into the bikes. And there's stories about them racing the bikes and all that, and all the bike tours, and it's just really fascinating once you start going through some of that. But they did the races just like they had the motorcycle races here. So the sister Claire, she married up with the Manderscheid. And then we have Dewey, and he was the inventor of hybrid corn. He was big and had a feed company in Fond du Lac too. And I tried getting hold of one of their kids, and I think it was Audrey or Karen. Edgar is Nathan's grandpa, great-grandpa? Great-grandpa. Okay, so we have Lyle, right? Okay, so Edgar had Lyle, and Lyle's family is here for the Lewis side. Okay, folks? So, and Marlene wasn't able to make it.
Marlene or Dean or both.
Okay.
Around, but, yeah,
Okay, so go ahead. So some of the pictures I was able to obtain and put in there. of that side of the family. So we have Lyle, and yeah, so we have a nice big family there. And Nathan, they were all farmers, huh? Yeah. So I did my best to find everybody, and I still want to add a couple of pictures in there, and I have to add this little one that came in that's 4 days old. So, Nathan, did you want to say anything as we're scrolling through? Any stories? Terry?
Well, there's an interesting story about our ancestor George Paff, or Pfaff.
Okay.
It happened down during a Sioux uprising in 1862. The settlers all went down to Calumet Harbor. They must have had a stockaded house or something down there because they thought the Indians were coming.
Yeah.
So one morning, my great-great-grandpa George Pfaff was missing. So they got a search party, and they started up the lake shore, I guess, and didn't get too far, and they found him up in a tree. He was up there watching for the Indians coming. I think he was like 14 years old at the time, and then being an adventurous boy, 2 years later he joined the Union Army as a drummer boy, and he was all the way down.
He was with the 9th Wisconsin down in Missouri and Arkansas, and it was a rough area to be because they were fighting with the bushwhackers.
Okay.
The Jameses and them, so there was no prisoners taken in that area of the war. It's not well known, there were real big battles, but if you were captured, you were killed. And they did the same with them. It was, but they spent a lot of time marching around in that area and dealing with that type of fighting. More guerrilla fighting than major battles.
Very cool. Yeah. So Nathan was kind enough to update me with the family, so I have that all in the book. Is there any other stories anybody really, really wants to talk about that they've heard, or is there any questions? Yes.
It's not a story exactly, but with the Lyons family, there being eight of us kids, there were then 19 grandkids, 41 great-grandkids.
Just with Lyle?
Yeah.
There were.
Yeah, with them all.
Does somebody want to come up and talk about that?
And how many great-great-grandchildren
Well,
then went
my little great-granddaughter, or my granddaughter you saw, Sadie,
Yeah.
she was born the day after my grandma died, and that would have been her 8th great-great-grandchild.
See, that's awesome. I mean, we have a lot of longevity in this family too. Yeah, but does anybody have questions on any of the families or what they had? Do you have I don't know, I guess I didn't know much about Elvira, but I talked with Alice a lot on that. Louis Beyer, Edward Beyer, which, we're going back another generation. His wife left him, which is a fascinating story. And
Herman Beyer, too.
Herman.
He was the brother of Louis.
Carl.
Yeah, and he was gored. He had a farm out by Calumetville.
Oh, yeah, that one.
And he was dying. He was gored by a bull. And he had been divorced and had a second wife and some more kids, and that turned into a fiasco.
It's kind of a nightmare trying to find. Yeah, and they lost a lot of children.
Yeah.
So.
And because of that, a lot of his kids, I think, from the first wife, they all went out to California back in, say, the 1890s or so.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the Beyers through the years headed out to California. My great-grandpa's sister Clara, after her husband died, her and her son, they went out to California. And I had contacted some of them, but I lost contact with them. they changed their name from Manderscheid to Manders, they shortened it. And there were you had some years too,
Yeah, up in Pipe, there was a mercantile, and that would be Charles Beyer's family. Charles Beyer's sister married up with Charles Bergen, and they were really prominent in the Calumet Harbor and stuff like that, but they all moved out to California too, and yeah, there's a lot of fascinating stories. I tried putting as much as I could in here. Like I said, I apologize for not having the book ready, but it was just too many questions and adding too much. So, yeah, so then was there anything else on Lewis's side? Any questions, Nathan, that you want to add? You want to come up here and add it?
There's things that I don't know. Lewis was paralyzed at one point.
From what?
He made his own tractor, I guess. He was kind of an inventor too.
Yeah. Yes.
I think, from what I heard, he was cranking it, and it must have been jumped in gear or something.
Okay.
Crushed him against the building.
So Lewis was an inventor, and then one of his inventions backfired and ended up paralyzing him. So Linda.
Was lame because somewhere on one of his legs he got cut with a sickle.
So Charles Beyer ended up being lame because the sickle cut part of his foot off.
Oh, they're brothers then, Lewis and Charles.
Yeah, yeah. So they were both lame.
Yeah, I just remember my grandpa always limped.
Okay. Yeah, he always limped because he lost part of his foot, but you're saying Lewis himself was paralyzed. Well, that's interesting. And going back to Ed, yes, he was gored. He was like 51 years old, and they found him in the barn, and he was gored to death. That's in here too. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting obituaries, so we'll go through. Is there anything else on the Lewis side? I'm just going to verbally talk about a couple of the other families. So the Bergens were, go ahead.
Just a question for you.
Sean.
Yes, on the Lewis side, was there another son named Lewis or Louis?
Well, the Lewis can be confusing because there's Carl Lewis and Lewis Carl, and yeah. So Lewis would have been Charles's brother, Lewis.
Right, and then he had a son, the last born, the baby of the family.
Could be. Yeah, I'd have to look at my charts.
I think you're confusing Johann Carl Lewis and Lewis. I always call him Lewis Jr., the one who was paralyzed.
Okay.
But his father alternated between names, so sometimes you see in records as Lewis.
Yep.
Sometimes as
Lewis.
Never really used John or Johann.
Yeah.
You know.
But I gotta tell you, like on Find a Grave, Ancestry, any of that, you're gonna find mistakes because people think that they found stuff, and by the time you put it on there, it's not right. So you really have to be careful with whatever's on those programs. The same with obituaries. Elvira and census records, because like with Elvira, it says she was born in Florida. Well, that's not a true statement on one of the censuses. She was born here, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of confusions with names in the census records. There's a lot of confusion. So what you really, really want to do is go to the historical societies, go to the courthouses, and thoroughly do your work. The same with birth dates, death dates, burials, because they'll say, oh, they're buried at Rienzi and Fond du Lac, but they weren't. Maybe they kept the ashes, and now that's really hard because people don't even get buried anymore, you know? So it's really confusing. This family goes in many, many different branches. There's much more. Like I said, there's 300 pages. There's a whole bunch of Zahns on here and the other Beyers. So, but if there's any questions, you really need to, any rumors that you've heard of. I know some of the families are like not on speaking terms and stuff like that. You know, And some of the families had all the information, they passed, and there's no longer that way to obtain it. That's one thing I learned. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask for things when it comes to family. Absolutely not. So, yeah. Is there anything else that anybody has questions on? Any great stories? That was a lot. That was a lot, yeah. I don't want to keep anybody any longer than what we have to, but I'd like to get up to the cemetery. There's not much up there because it has really changed in the 20 years since I took the pictures of the headstones. But we will go up there briefly for maybe...
It looks really good.
Oh, thanks.
That one issue I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, but we should be good. I mean, I'm really grateful for everybody who came. We have pictures. I'll update the books. Like I said, it's going to be Beyer Reunion 2025, or my name. I'm Lulu, okay? Beyer Reunion 2025, and or my name. And I'll try to put that out on Facebook, or give me a call. Don't be afraid to send me an email. If you want to get hold of anybody, don't be afraid to send me an email, because I'll try to get the connections. I wish we had more time for all that and write everything down so that we can. I just want you guys all to know that this is our last opportunity for this. So, Linda.
There's some pie left. Anybody wants to take some along?
All right. So we have pie from Linda. Thank you, Linda, for providing the pies and the farm. Thank you. Yeah. Last opportunity for any questions and stuff. Doris. Because I don't know if I'm going to do this again. This was a lot of work from February to now. I mean, it was like every morning on the internet, collecting information, going through my basement, finding the pictures, emailing people with questions, who's this, who's that, phone calls. Oh, thank you. Yeah. It really was. Trying to locate people is difficult. I just randomly sent out letters in hopes that people would come back. Otherwise, I would have never met up with Alice with Elvira's side of the family, Don with his side of the family, because I just, I sent one letter to your sister, and then it got to Don, because I'm asking people to spread the word. Let's, that's the only way this got pulled off. And by Nathan to help out. And I'm grateful for everybody who's really helped out. Really extremely grateful for Bruce and Cynthia for providing all the audio and stuff like this. So, yeah. I hope I didn't, thank you to my mother for giving birth to me. No. So, yeah, and so, but I just really want to express, if anybody has questions, reach out to me. Talk to Nathan, he can get you in touch with me, or my family all knows to come to me, but it's important to pass this all down and keep continuing family heirloom things, but always have a story. There's a story to everything, okay? Everything. So, yeah. All right? We're good? All right. We're going to take a couple minutes, and whoever wants to go up to the cemetery, we'll meet out in the parking lot. Okay?